I'm like, I'm not attacking if your wife wants to be. And I have a friend that did that. She's a stay-at-home mom. She has 5 kids, and that I mean, she works. They have chickens. She does all the stuff around the house. Or I meant like works at home. I got nothing against that, but let's not pretend women are doing that.
Yes, let's
Like,
go.
let's
June Cleaver died. That's over.
yeah,
This is not the life. These women are hitting the gym and doing enjoyable thing. Their Pilates, and
yeah.
it's a life of a lot of leisure
Mm.
and a lot of self-care. And man, I would suggest to any guy, if what you want is a woman who's obsessed with herself, maybe you ought to look in the mirror and ask yourself some questions.
What do you think when tradcons say that when we say this that we're just submitting to feminism?
I think that's a cheap out. You know, just because I think that women should carry the weight financially doesn't make me a feminist any more than speaking English makes me a feminist, because feminists speak English too. It's an absolutely bullshit comparison. Um, it is 2024. The economy, they rigged the economy to need a tax base of two people working in relationships. This was done by design a long time ago. Those days are over for the average person. If you've got a ton of money, you can beat the system. But for most people, it's not a doable arrangement. It's just not going to work.
My least favorite one, I think influencers get these super big heads. They're like, everyone become an influencer. I'm like, how are we going to keep the lights on? I had this conversation. I like Sneeko, but I had this conversation with him when I interviewed him last. And he was like, well, everyone should become an influencer. And I'm just like, okay, well, electricity, factor, like your phone.
Water.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that'll work, but.
No,
So,
no. But going back to I've had that over the years too on several subjects. Oh, you sound like a feminist. Well, if what I'm saying is making sense, then it's either true or it's not, regardless of what people think it sounds like.
mm-hmm.
I think women should also have practice ultimate accountability for everything in their lives, which is the most non-feminist idea that has ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
But if guys need to say, oh, he's just emulating feminists to feel better about what they're doing, fine by me.
Yeah. So, in the recent Diverting Hate document that was funded by the Department of Homeland Security, the female authors expressed concern over anyone calling men simps or referring to male behaviors as simping. They say simping is really just another word for love, kindness, love and kindness towards women, and that people who don't want to do that are being radicalized. I'm going to read this article to you.
Sure.
Stop simping. How misogynistic influencers humiliate women to discourage sympathy. A disconnecting trend, or a disconcerting trend, has surfaced within the manosphere of YouTube, characterized by a series of videos where men proudly proclaim to stop simping. Through public humiliation of women, they demonstrate how not sympathizing with, showing too much attention for, or otherwise being submissive to women can lead to the actual harassment and bullying of women while providing them a false sense of power. This phenomenon is linked to the theory of gynocentrism and fueled by the belief that men often prioritize women at the expense of their own well-being. Simp is sometimes used as a derogatory term to troll men and extend any positive expression or behavior towards women, particularly kindness, in exchange for some action, usually romantic interest. Simping can be used in the lieu of standing, which to say someone is an extreme fan of something. Gynocentrism, originally describing a dominant focus on women, in theory or practice, has been manipulated by some to be that societal chivalry and white knight behavior prioritizes women over other groups. Men going their own way, MGTOW, for example, identifies itself as a reaction against the perceived misandry of gynocentrism. Why do you think the government is so obsessed with micromanaging men's minds and behaviors when they simply want to avoid traditional yoke and go their own way? Do you think the government might have concerns about the demographic collapse we're seeing in marriage and birth rates, or do you think there is some other reason?
I think there's both. I think the government probably is concerned about those things. I know if you look at countries like Japan, they're in trouble. South Korea is in trouble right now with birth rates. But this also blends with cultural gynocentrism that we have now, because what that said, if you reduce it to down just to the basics, is that if you don't simp, you hate women. If you don't grovel, then you're a misogynist. If you don't fawn over women, then you're not a man. This is the same basic principle we've been sitting here talking about for a few minutes. Government's concerned? Yeah, because if the preponderance of men went red pill, there would be real trouble. And red pill thinking is growing. It's happening. I mean, there's content creators like you and a bunch of others out there now that are, and even mainstreaming these ideas. And I think they are concerned about it. But I also know that this is when you have feminist academicians and you get government money, you're going to get studies like that and papers like that, regardless of whether or not the government's concerned about it. But of course, if their plan is to do something about it through something like this, all they're going to do is create more of it. Because I hear that, and the first thing I want to do is rebel. It's like, oh, so I have to, and I love how they conflated simping with sympathy. Yeah, I don't know if you caught that as you were reading. They want to say that if you don't simp, you're unsympathetic. I think I'm very sympathetic to women. I do. I think they've gotten a raw deal by being infantilized, and they've been coddled to the point of not even being able to think rationally about many topics because of what we've enabled in them, what men have done to enable them. I have compassion about that, and I hope it changes someday. But this is just simply trying to conflate sympathy with simping, and another way to try to shame men into not expressing what's really on their mind, and it's not going to work.
And I don't think it's kind to women to lie. And
No.
that's what I realized is all these guys are just liars.
Well, the thing is, that's the social contract with women now.
Yeah.
You have to lie to them.
Yeah.
Every woman is beautiful. No women are fat and ugly. No women are hoes. No women are unfit for marriage. You've got to tell women how great they are. You have to be very much girl power. And that's just the social contract now. That's what Michael Knowles, all these clowns, this is what they're doing. They're just following the gynocentric script. And they're actually claiming in some cases, like a Daily Wire, to sort of be edgy about this stuff. They're not edgy. These guys are down on their knees with Jules, holding them up, all of them, doing this. They're just doing it differently than it's been done in the past. But it's the same thing.
Even the fact they interviewed Nala before they interviewed you, it's like you have 22 years of experience in men's advocacy, men's rights, and they put on a porn star before you. Really?
Oh, those guys won't even acknowledge I exist.
Yeah.
And they can't. It would. I don't expect. I mean, I was telling you earlier. I reached out to Jordan Peterson, at least through his intermediaries, and never got a response. I reached out in other places. These guys won't even acknowledge if you're doing real red pill stuff as a man, they will not acknowledge you exist because they can't argue with you and they know it.
I know. Even sometimes I get opportunities and I feel like other people should get them before me. And I think they should, like sometimes even when I went there, I was like, there's so many guys that have been doing this for 20 plus years, but they want to talk to me, the woman. And I'm like, why don't you guys go talk to the actual men that have been literally, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. So I'm not trying to knock it, but it's just like, I'm like, some of these guys have been doing this for 20 years. Why aren't they in here? Why aren't you talking to the guys that have lived this,
I would love to hear their answer to that, but it's not going to come. And I honestly think, I mean, it may even sound a bit overinflated, but I really think they're scared. I don't think they want to face a guy who's ready to challenge their ideas, somebody that's been doing this a long time and who understands the topic very, very well. I don't think they want
Yeah.
any
Well,
part of
because
that at all.
well, and they would be assholes. They would be absolute. If they had to say what. Sometimes when I was talking to him, I'm like, I want you to tell a man that has been lied to about the paternity of his kid. Tell him that he's wrong for getting a divorce. Go say that to his face. Tell him he's a feminist. Go tell the military members that are coming home from deployment to their wife robbing them and stealing their kids. Tell them that they just weren't man enough. Tell them. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell them what they could have done better. But they can't.
They're not going to do that.
No, they think they read a couple studies. They think they're smarter than they are.
Well, and they have a lot of it is ideological. They're every bit as ideological as feminists because their logic always breaks down when it comes to the marital argument and to divorce. They have no argument. There is no argument to tell a guy that's raised a child for 3 years and then found out the child wasn't his. What do you tell that guy? There's nothing you can tell him except try to take care of yourself. I'm sorry this terrible thing happened to you. But no, instead of that, from these guys, they would get, just man up, bro. That child needs a parent, and you're there. So just, don't get divorced.
Well, why didn't you just picked the wrong woman. Which, okay, he might have. But but a lot of women have picked the wrong men. They're not enslaved for 18 years. But both genders pick the wrong person often. Like that's a normal thing.
We're very good at that in the West.
Yeah.
Picking the wrong people.